Any day now. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, Blue Star, Violet Star. We got a bunch of stars in here tonight. Onika, GK, good to see you. Creator, good to see you. Terror, welcome. Immortal, good to see you. And Greed, we got a lot of people in here. All right. So, really awesome news for everyone tonight. You guys have probably been waiting on this one, but for the supporters and the over at Locals and here on YouTube, the paid supporters. Hopefully you saw it already, but if you didn't, go check out after stream where you do support us, because a early access link to the evocation course dropped Friday. So many of you have already been have already purchased and been working at the evocation course now over the weekend, and I have been getting constant emails about how much you are enjoying it and loving it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the feedback because this was a really hard one, but a really fun one. And I'm very happy that it is there. Now, for the everyone who's not a supporter, you're wondering, when do you get access to it? Most likely, if you've been waiting on it. With the holiday weekend coming up, Black Friday, all that craziness, I was going to wait until like Friday, but then I was like, well, you got Turkey Day, you got the holiday shopping season starting. And usually with holiday shopping season starting, you have family to deal with. You got to be in the living room dealing with this person or that person. I know I did growing up. So I am actually going to release it to the general, well, to everyone. You will go live to everyone Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Okay, so this Wednesday you should be able to see it on the online school for everyone. Sorry for the delays on it. This one was a tricky one. I had to, many of you know there was a lot of tech issues and stuff because I'm not a tech savvy person. So there's that. But we had to make some adjustments in that. And I forgot to turn the lights on. We got a bad shadow. Hold on. Give me a second. And we're back. There. That takes out some of the shadow. Thank God. Okay. So yeah, that is up. And it is what we call a living course. So you're going to see stuff added to it. Even it's in its complete condition. It's fully ready to go. But as different techniques and teaching methods and stuff pop up, I'm going to be adding those in there, including the Spirit Codex. Even though there's over 100 entities in the Spirit Codex already, please don't ask me to name them. I don't have the list in front of me because people have asked me to do that. I can't remember that many names, people. Codex is going to grow. We're already looking at 72 other entities to talk to about getting added into that codex. That's how much we're planning on it growing already. So, yee on that one. Super hyped about that. Also, if you do want to become a supporter, check us out at workingdragonmystic.com. You'll see the supporter community tab there. Click that, pop over to the locals community, support us. It definitely helps us out. We're growing the community so we can do more. Takes us away from having to rely on ad revenue and stuff like that. Let us create more content. And there is a lot of supporter only content over there, videos and stuff that you can't get anywhere else, as well as other supporter perks. So consider supporting us over there. Also, during the live stream, if you have a really important question, you want to make sure I see it, you can use the super chat. Flashes it up real fancy on the screen so I see it. And I make sure to read all of them as long as they're family friendly. Of course, keep everything PG, please. We appreciate that. And seems like there's something else I'm supposed to say. Oh, yeah. Any super chat, whether it's with a question or not, of $5 or more, You're automatically included into a spell working I do on Mondays for any of the people who do super chat, super thanks, any of those kind of little tip options that YouTube gives us during live streams or just during videos. That is for health, prosperity, well-being, and just as general thank you for it, with or without question. So there we go. All right, let's see what we got in here. Hey guys, hello. Ooh, love the new. Thank you. You know, I was actually realizing, like, I was going through the office, I was doing. Weirdly, I was cleaning the office. The office is now messier than when I started because I was pulling things out. But that's beside the point. I realized I have the Dragon's Eye Seal background for Dragon Magic, but I don't have any actual background with dragons in it. So I purchased 2 or 3 new backgrounds that actually have dragons in them, and this one I just fell in love with because there's actually a section in my little D&D campaign that this really just stood out and made me think of. And this dragon, over here, is just really freaking cool. So I had to get that one. But you'll see the others as we progress. I'll probably have them in some videos or whatnot or during live streams. But yeah, it's that season. So when I was going through flipping out to see if I wanted to use different backgrounds for the season, because winter's coming, you know, I got all those great snow backgrounds you all love. I got the fireplace and those things, and I was getting those out. It just occurred to me, I don't have any really cool dragon backgrounds that actually had dragons on them, and I don't know how I managed to miss those. So wanted to get a few of those. Also, be sure to give us a thumbs up if you're here and you like the channel, because hey, it lets the algorithm know you actually like what we're doing, and that's a big helper. So mugs up to y'all. All right, let's see. But yeah, thank you for that. That background is absolutely majestic, Drake. How's it going? Vicky, I am doing really, really good. After finishing the evocation course, I'm getting a lot of stuff done that I needed to be doing while I was working and filming on that. And I have promised the missus I'm going to take the rest of the year off from filming courses, just focus on YouTube and some stuff I need to do. Yeah, I'm doing really good. I've been hyper. So there's something about that, just that stress of being right there at the edge of completing something, but it ain't done. That just, it's great when it's off your back. Even when it's a labor of love, you know what I mean? Let's see, creator. Hey, Drake, I would really love if you do a custom spell working so I can get a grant to finally get my metaphysical/religious goods store up and running. I can certainly do that, creator. Supporters, because we don't really have tier 2 and 3 anymore over at locals the way it's set up. But you are entitled to that as a supporter, and I do see you have at least, you are a supporter here at YouTube, so that will count. Which tier are you, if I remember correctly? Is it tier 2 at least? Because it doesn't show me what tier you are directly, and I got to make sure it's not, the right tier. But I'm pretty sure we've done workings for you in the past. I'm pretty sure I've seen you on the list multiple times, so I will definitely do that. That is within your right as a supporter. And again, thank you for your support, creator. Mugs up to you. So thank you. I will definitely add that to the list for the. If you want, I can go ahead and get it done. Normally, I do these, at the first of the month at November for that spell working. But since it's a business or something, if you want, I can go ahead and do that working for you now and just omit you from the November one. Just go ahead and get that one done for you early, if that would be acceptable for you. Agree. Where do you get the where is it? Wait, did we jump? I thought I saw a question about the background. Yeah, there it is. Whoa, we did jump that time. Woo, we must be busy tonight. That's good. I like when you guys are busy. Where did you get the background temperature? I honestly got it off Amazon. Straight up, not gonna lie. Let's see. I've been trying to find an un for Hestista and some of the other deities, so when I get some side cash, I will definitely buy the vocation course. Okay. Um, Uns are not a requirement. Let me just make that clear. Uns are an add-on. They're not a requirement at all. And all uns are actually human created. They're not necessarily there's this one specific un. If you are looking for an un to an entity, you can easily ask them. Um, and if you're asking me for a specific one, like I'll be honest with you, I don't memorize them. I have them wrote down so I can use them when I need them, if I use them. And honestly, a lot of the times I tend to forget to use them, to be honest with you. I have them, I have used them, I've tested them, as you all see with the Goetic series, but I personally, in my private practice, like unless I'm actually thinking to test it or something, half the time or more than half the time, I just use incantations and stuff that are multi-purpose incantations, or I write my own incantation, or I write my own callings. I don't use them in my own practice more than half the time, probably. Just to be truly honest with y'all, they're nothing I've ever viewed as a necessity, and actually, all my testings prove they're not a necessity. So, something to consider there. Let's see. We are busy. Angela, good to see you, Vicky. Every time I see artwork of dragons, even my own, I wonder if there's a dragon out there that looks exactly like my drawing, or whether they see it and appreciate the fan art. Dragons love artwork. Like, they even love artwork of dragons that look nothing like them at all. Dragons have an appreciation for things that it's amazing. I really can't put it into words, because they're one of the entities that have taught me so much on how to appreciate the simpler things. They've actually been helping me to appreciate my own creative nature, because like I've told you all, I can't draw a stick figure. But they have shown me so many other ways that I am creative. And to them, it's the heart of the creation, not the end product, that they really do admire. So I think that's pretty cool. GK, so there's over 100 spirits in the Codex. How comes? Because there's only 72 spirits in the Goetia. There's more than Goetic spirits in the Codex of the Evocation course. Yes, the Goetic spirits are in there, but there's also deities in there. There's also elemental spirits in there. There's miscellaneous entities in there. Just like if I was to take and collect all the dragons that I have in my personal dragon collection codex, I have over 100 dragons I personally know and work with. None of them's Goetic in any shape, form, or fashion, but that would still be over 100 entities. And there are no dragons in the evocation course, just so we're clear, because I wanted to make that spirit codex filled out and available to the most practitioners possible. And since we already have the Dragon Magic courses, and many people want to do both, I didn't want to double dip on an entity just to arbitrarily pad a number. That felt so arbitrary and foolish. Not to mention, when working with dragons, you can't evoke a dragon the same way you do other entities. There's a difference there. So there's no dragons in there, and we still got it up over 100, and we still have more than 72 more coming. You need a snow dragon background, best of both worlds. Ooh, that's actually a cool idea. I was just looking for dragon backgrounds in general. I might actually see if I could find a winter one. That's actually an interesting thought. Because I think I have 2 winter outdoors ones. I think I actually have a Christmas background with a tree and a fireplace that I really like. Kind of shame I don't get to use it as much as I want. But yeah, I might look into that, Angela. That's a good idea. Spring and this one here almost feels spring or summery to me. The other 2 are more, I'd say, more cosmic in nature-ish. They're not necessarily earthly bound kind of feelings to them. But I have to see. We'll have to see what I can do, because I don't want to just have so many backgrounds piled up in my office that I got no use for them. So I do try to be a little picky, because also working Dragon Mystic has to pay its bills without buying toys. And it can be really easy to buy backgrounds and stuff. You just like, oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat. If you've noticed, I try to keep like backgrounds that are, I can use them through multiple videos through most of the years, like that library background you all see, the um, Nordic Circle backgrounds, the Dragon's Eye Seal background, the general tavern fireplace background you all see sometimes. So yeah. Where was I? Okay. Who is the artwork in the background? I don't know. I literally just bought this off Amazon. I didn't look at the exact artist. My apologies on that one. I did not. Just get with Dragon one every season. Safety concern. How could you be unalived in astral travel? You can. Astral travel won't. That's a myth. That is a myth. There's a few more dangers in soul travel. That is true, but honestly, by the time someone actually understands it enough to reach soul travel, not astral travel, because the two are not the same, you also understand that death isn't necessarily going to happen. And by and large, astral travel, if you even have a basic cleansing ritual or even water cleansing during the shower, there's no dangers. If you're just following the basic bare bone, never done magic before, first lessons ever cleansing rituals, there's no real danger. I know there's a lot of scare tactics and stuff discussed around astral travel. But honestly, I know people who have purposely broken all the rules to try and inflict harm on themselves in order to find out if there's any truth to it, and nothing happened. The worst case scenario that has ever happened is someone snaps back to their body unexpectedly, and everybody's like, "Oh, the astral whiplash, that's horrible. It'll affect you for weeks." No, it won't. Actually, if you just take a moment, do a quick meditation, ground and center, your head's screwed on straight in 5 minutes or less. And if you can't ground and center, weirdly enough, like if you go do a super mundane task, it will ground you and bring you back into focus. When I say mundane, I mean like go do the dishes, go brush your teeth, go shave, go make a sandwich. Do something so mundane that it's almost like a house chore. It's something you have to do. It's something you always do the laundry. Just mundane, because that just brings you back into the mundane. I prefer the meditation, but then I hate doing dishes. I have to do them. I will do them, but that trick does work, but I'd still rather do the meditation because I hate doing dishes. Um, oh, crap, we jumped. Jay, good to see you. You've probably been in here. It's jumping around on me a lot today. Hugs to chat. Hey. I do notice when I do artistic stuff, I feel like I'm being watched, and when I look, it's either my guardian or Comag or both. And when I put it on the altar, they go crazy. Oh yeah, they love stuff like that. They are. A lot of people think dragons would be hard to please. They're not really that hard to please. Pretty, because they enjoy simple things, really simple things, and that's one of the cool things I've enjoyed about them. I don't really get into very uppity practices or whatnot. Like like for all the people who absolutely adore my cooking, and I do love to cook for people. Like if you're looking for some kind of high-tail fancy to do dinner, could I do it? Yes. Would I do it? Probably not, because I don't like to take the time. And when I make food or dinner for people, I want to make sure everyone has enough. So those little dainty dishes that are pretty don't fly with me. And if I truly believe that if you don't have a passion for the food you're making, you're not going to make good food. So I literally won't do it because I don't have a passion for it. I think I'd be giving you second rate food over what I could actually make if I just didn't do that. So those simplicities that the dragons enjoy is one of the things I think I really resonate with them on. Is that sleeve of tattoo on your dragon scale? This? Yeah, that's a dragon scale sleeve with a bunch of other tattoos woven into it. It was a lot of fun to get. What happens if you split your consciousness and lucid dreaming? Nothing. Lucid dreaming will take place while you're asleep. While you're asleep, you're in the dream realm. It's a section of the astral realm, but you can't leave the dream realm while in the dream realm. So you would just do it. The dream realm is going to shape and form around you to what you may want to see, or even a realm you want to see, but you're not actually leaving the dream realm itself. And your consciousness would be in two different locations in the dream realm. I mean, it's pretty simple. You can even work on bilocation outside lucid dreaming, which is actually where I would recommend doing it, because in truth, you get far better results and utility out of it. So that would be my personal opinion on that, though. But no, there's nothing wrong with splitting your consciousness. Though it does take a great deal of focus, and the moment you drop your focus, they immediately snap back together. So there's that. It's not a permanent split. What are my opinions of the Draconic Code of Honor? Do you mean from Conway's books? Is that the one you're speaking of specifically? Do I follow it? I'll be honest with you. Some of it I follow just out of the being who I am. Do I follow it as in, could I sit here and quote it to you? No, I don't. Because a lot of it, the dragons do teach in a lot of ways, but then a lot of it, they really don't. I've asked them about that particular thing a few times, and they're not 100% sure why it's in there, though they do agree with some of the things in it. In fact, hold on, let me grab the book. See, when I say I actually do these from my office, I mean it. And I've been paring down my library, but considering these books actually had a large part in my undertaking, I figure we will keep these just for not practice, because I never open these for practice anymore, but for I can't find it in that one. It's kind of part of my path, kind of a remembrance of where you started, those kinds of things. And honestly, it's kind of a good for a case like this where it's like, hey, I got this question, this thing. And since I rarely open these books anymore, aha, found it. Okay, so let's go through these real quick. That's actually a great question, mate. Let's see. Little seen gets more done. I actually do believe in this one, and the dragons actually do believe in it. It's not necessarily an ethic that they require in any shape, form, or fashion. But I am one of those people that I do think getting things done, not being seen, and not requiring to be seen is actually good. And a lot of that comes into some of this, like Conway was really big on avoiding ego. And there's a lot of people who do what they do to strut around and be like, hey, look at me. If you're doing something for the kudos, you're kind of doing it for the wrong reason. If you're truly doing something for your betterment, your self-empowerment, your own balance, and to understand the balance, and you're not doing it for the kudos, not getting the kudos ain't going to bother you. So yeah, look for the truth in the heart of hearts. That is to dive deep. Okay. This one I would say is more about shadow work and being true and honest with the self, and looking deep into understanding why you're doing it. Are you doing it because you want the praise? Are you doing it because you're just greedy? Are you Are you pretending to do the right thing because it's going to give you a reputation and better status, whereas you wouldn't do it if you didn't get the credit? Like, in your heart of hearts, why are you truly doing it? Because there's a lot of people who will do the right thing when others are looking at them. But if someone else isn't there to see them, they're not going to do the right thing. They're going to do the easy thing. So, I mean, that's a good one, but it's not necessarily a required. So, no. A lie burns both the liar and the silent listener. I mean, this is essentially kind of almost, and I hate to say this, but this is kind of an attempt to create an almost 10 commandments list to follow. And I'm not going to say there's anything bad with that, because we got the 9 noble virtues we covered once in another video from Norse mythology. I have my own personal code of honor. I follow that. That's what I follow. It didn't come from any entity or anything like that. And to that, I've actually recommended people read Modern Bushido and try and understand the concepts through there. But yeah, be true to the responsibility of the balance. That one's kind of there. Let's be honest. Dragons are all about that balance. Balance is everything to them. And in fact, if you're honestly, genuinely true to the balance, some of these you can't even keep up. Because if you swear to never do harm in anything to anything or anyone in your entire life, you're not a balanced person. In fact, you won't even be able to feed yourself, because you have to hurt a plant to eat salad. And your mere existence could actually cause another person harm. So, yeah, there's a lot of things in life that people don't take time to look at. Silence and magic are both needed. This is good for beginners. It's not necessarily a necessity, nor is it an ethics thing. And that really comes into the more you run your mouth on the magic you're doing, the easier it is for those around you, even if they're not practitioners, to cancel it. Because if your siblings think you're being stupid, think you're goofing off, your siblings are going to look forward to being able to laugh at you when your little spell or experiment doesn't work. They don't really mean anything as siblings being siblings. Grant you, it's a shitty attitude, but it is. And even something as trivial as that can actually work against the energy of the spell the magician's putting out. So it's a helpful tip. But again, so far, none of these are technically ethical things. Honor your elders, for they carry important and ancient knowledge. Well, that's true. Elders and ancestors do have a lot of great knowledge. In fact, I've spent most of my life talking to people older than me to learn from them. And I do ancestor work. And I even deal with the ancestors that are in my family that I don't like. I don't care for how they live their life, because it's a necessity to learn and understand that. Would I prop them up on a, hey, look how great this guy is? No. I would point them out for the scum they are, but I'd also point to what I as a person can learn and what they did to bring about everything that brought me to being in existence, but nothing more. Evil gives no forewarning and no pause for relief. I like that one. I really do like that one. Because hands down, everyone wants to talk about, well, that ain't fair. That ain't fair. I don't like that. That's offensive. That's triggering. Evil doesn't care. The multiverse doesn't care. Bad things will happen. Most of the time, you will have no warning, and all you can do is to get through it. It's not going to hit the pause button so you can go take a nap or rest. Hard times come, and we have to get through them, period. That is actually life, not only in the material plane, but the entirety of the multiverse. So once you're off the material plane, those problems actually only get worse, not better. So better figuring out how to handle them here where you're still on easy mode. So though that's not an ethics, that's more of a, well, I guess it's a work ethic of sorts, but it's not a moral ethic. Dignity speaks well of the messenger. This one a lot of people have trouble with, because yeah, the term "don't shoot the messenger." The messenger's doing their job. The messenger's going through the work, doing everything they have to bring it to them. It was actually considered a very, very bad, dishonorable move in elder days to harm a messenger because of this. and to take good care of a messenger, to make sure they're fed, to make sure they have a place to rest, to make sure they're safe, actually spoke well of you, not just the messenger. Now, number 9, you color your own light. That's absolutely true. Your actions that you choose, what you choose to do with your life, how you choose to live it, every action, every choice you make, that is going to create and color the person you are, regardless. That's why the dragons don't give a crap about astrology or your sign or any of that, because regardless of what was in the sky the day you were born, none of that matters. What's going to matter is the choices you make. How do you choose to live your life? If you meet an obstacle that is challenging, do you choose to avoid it? Do you choose to turn and go the other way? Or do you face it head on? What do you do in the hard times? What do you do in the good times? They truly believe in the multiversal balance and the individual is shaped by their choices, which they choose to do, and that which they choose to master in themselves. This is where the coloring your own light comes in. She says it in a very pretty and poetic way, which, I'll be honest with you, at the time this book was written, you had to. Because when this book was originally published, if you had told people to be accountable for your actions 100%, and every choice you make determines your reality and who you are, those people would have cried and probably burned this book. Sad to say. And what happens on one stone reflects all. That one is talking about a ripple effect. Doesn't matter if it's magic, doesn't matter if it's real life, doesn't matter. Any action you take is going to have a rippling effect, like you threw a stone into a pond. You cannot put a stone in a pond without affecting the entire ecosystem in some minor way. That rippling effect is caused within magic. No spell, no ritual, no nothing is in an isolated vacuum. You do magic, it's going to cause a rippling of energy. It's going to start to move things around to help manifest that goal you're looking for. That manifestation is going to affect the world around you in some way. And if you look at the 28 laws of magic, you see this. I think it's the 9th and 10th, where they're talking positive things, positive attracts positive, or like attracts like, and opposites attract. Both of those rules, and they're explained in there. There is a rippling effect, and if you pluck just the right string, it's like a spider web. One little vibration in the web sews throughout the entire web. And you have a responsibility in a lot of people's minds as a magician to be aware of that ripple effect. Now, what's that responsibility mean? There's the debate. There's the question. Now, from my perspective, you'll notice we focus on self-empowerment, self-mastery, don't we? I believe if every person is working on self-empowerment and self-mastery, what I need to be aware of is that when I pluck that thread through a spell, I need to be aware that it's going to cause a rippling change of events around my life. I need to be able to prepare and for any of those changes that come in to also help manifest my goals. I also need to be taking actions to manifest my goals. Some people will take that as, I need to be aware of how my magic is going to affect everyone in my community, everyone in my state, everyone in my country, everyone in the world. And I need to have this great pressure down on me. No, that's their responsibility, is to worry about their life. Your responsibility is to worry about your life. And there's a balancing factor. Now, let's say I'm doing magic for my community. In those cases, I do need to consider how this magic will genuinely affect my community. This is why weather magic, for example, is actually so dangerous, and actually a lot of people get in a lot of trouble with it, because a lot of people will do magic for the weather they prefer, not the weather that's actually good for their actual climate and environment. And then you will end up with like a normal summer drought turning into mudslides and flooding, because too many people started pushing for rain that, honestly, on a natural environmental seasonal cycle, they don't need that much rain. Does that answer that question a little bit? I know that was a long one, but that was a great question. Thank you for that. Okay. We got the, let's see, creator. Ooh, Fun new emojis. Never knew these. Yep, those existed. I think those are only for the supporters. I think only supporters can access those particular emojis, if I remember correctly. Could you do a video series on all the different mysticism books you would recommend? Like one video about dragon books, one about Norse paganism books, etc. That's actually a decent idea, man. Jade, if you're here, write that down. That's not a bad video idea that Gray's asking about. That's a pretty good one, in honesty. Now, here's the thing with Dragon Magic. I've been on the lookout for 20 years on decent Dragon Magic books. I can't find any. Unfortunately, the best ones I found are Conway's, and y'all know there's a lot of things in here even she wouldn't agree with at the end of the day when I was talking with her. And so it's hard for me to recommend these specifically. And every other one I've picked up is like there's part of me that wonders if most of these people publishing Dragon Magic books have ever really worked with a dragon. Like I've got 4 of them that I got rid of them. I'll be honest. They tried to claim that dragons aren't dragons. They're just angels. And they're angelic celestial beings with the higher good only in mind. And it's like, no. And I mean, this same author, though, claimed that all Fae creatures are benevolent, good, loving, light rainbow creatures. And it's like, have you ever read any actual mythology concerning the Fae and the Wee Folk? Any? So unfortunately, when it comes to Dragon Magic, I have spent well over $300 easy on books that I'm reading and looking at and checking to see what I like. And when I read it, I don't just look at it as, do I like this book? I actually look at and read a book as, is this a book I could recommend to a student? I also look at books with that eye. And even more so since starting YouTube, actually. And I've not really been able to find a good one. Like there's one, I hope I didn't get rid of it just because it was expensive. I had to pay $80 for this book. And like it is seriously smaller than a Moleskine journal. It was a tiny little thing when it came. I thought it would be a much more complete book. And it was claiming dragon magic. It was literally a text on druidic magic. There was nothing really draconic about it. It was just druidic stuff. Really pissed me off. I wanted my money back. I wanted my money back so bad. But as far as the others, there are some few books. There are books that I generally recommend for beginners. That is like if you look in the description of most of my videos, there's like a list of books. I do generally recommend. I find them good books for beginners, and the reason I chose them is they're good for a broad spectrum of paths. So if you're just interested in getting your feet wet and learning more about magic, I recommend them. But yeah, I could look at doing that video for you. That's not a bad video. Recommended books for different paths that might be doable. Now, again, there's some paths I'm by no means an expert on, and it would be hard for me to recommend certain ones on. I'd only be able to recommend ones that I've seen, or, so got to be careful with those things. So let's see. Small, good to see you. Happy almost Thanksgiving. So excited to get some time off of school for a bit. Hey, yeah, heard that. Heard that. Let's see. I honestly didn't know about DJ version of the code, but there's another one with 24 codes. Maybe check it out because they're interesting. I would have to dig that one up, or you could DM it to me, Gray, if you're in the Gilded one page. Send that to me. I would look at it. I will admit I've noticed there's a lot of them popping up, and most of them are all practitioner based or tradition based. So you do have a lot of draconic Wiccans who make up their own draconic Wiccan reads and Wiccan codes for their particular traditions that are out there. And I can't think of a single one that the dragons are like, yep, that's us. Um, so, but yeah, if you send it to me, I'll be happy to look at it. I always like, I love like books on wisdom and codes. Like, just okay, look, hands down, like the draconic code in this book. You heard me say that the dragons really don't follow it, but you also heard me say that many of those things in there were really good ideals. There's nothing wrong with having a code of honor or a code of behavior because it's not something that like strictly locks you into a behavior. It's kind of a reminder of who you want to be. My personal code of honor shows me how to approach life at different times and gives me a bar of measurement to how I want to react, how who I want to be, where I stand on things. And honestly, that code of honor is something I meditate on daily. Um, and I also like again, you heard me mention the book Modern Bushido. Um, I, my copy of that book is worn down because I read through the different concepts of it quite a bit. Um, I love books that deal with philosophy and other things, not because I agree or disagree with the particular author, but because they make you think, they make you evaluate the self. And evaluating the self, meditating on the self, and knowing where you stand in certain things and understanding who you are when those things come up is drastically important to self mastery. It really is, as well as self empowerment. I truly, truly believe that. Now, Bondi Sanders, who wrote Modern Bushido, um, he goes through different concepts like justice, honor, discipline. Like there's a whole bunch of them where he talks about them, talks about different views of them, and then gives you actual quotes from people throughout history and their take on that particular concept. He's not telling you exactly what that concept is. He's not telling you exactly how that concept should be presented to you, but he's telling you, he's giving you ideals, stuff to think about so that you can genuinely meditate and figure out what that concept means for you. And each chapter in that book is a different concept. And it does come from a slightly faith or religious mind because he himself is a man of faith. That I'm not offended by that at all. Um, when I read it, I understand who he is and I understand what he's telling me. And I meditate on it. What does this mean to me? To me, who's not a man of faith, what does that mean to me? And if you take a book like that and you meditate on it, you're going to learn a massive amount about yourself, but you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. You have to be willing to go into things you disagree with. You have to be willing to look at things you agree with differently. This is how we grow and evolve. Like I constantly challenge my own ideals because I could be wrong. I could find a better way. I've told you all before on this channel, my way is not the only way. My way is the best way that I know how, and it's the best thing I can teach because I've seen it repetitively give those results and manifest actual results, which you all agree because most people on this channel constantly are emailing me about the successes they've had and the improvements they've had. But that doesn't mean that I've hard locked myself into this is the only way I'm ever going to do it. No, I'm constantly evaluating myself just the same way I'm evaluating who I am in the world I live in. I've lived long enough at this point. I've seen the world drastically change under my feet. The world I grew up in, um, from a child to my teenage years, does not exist. It does not exist. The world I grew up in is not there anymore. If I tried to view the world as I viewed it from the age 1 to 20, I would be in an alien wasteland and a very, very unhappy individual. I've had to adapt to the change of the world. I've had to look at the world, understand the world, and understand the man I am in this world and the man I want to be. And I had to make the adjustments accordingly. It is an ongoing, constant thing. Is that book spelled modern Muji? Okay, with my southern drawl, I actually completely, fully understand how you got my Cheeto. I really do with my southern drawl. But no, Skilled, thank you very much. It is, yes, modern Bushido. Uh, thank you. Thank you, Skilled. My southern drawl got me on that one. My apologies, mate. But I absolutely understand. Like, I've never heard Bushido in my own southern accent, but when I read it, like, I could see me saying Bushido and it sounded like that with my southern drawl. Great. That is amazing. Thank you for that. That made my night. We got philosophical up in here tonight, didn't we? That's okay. That's okay. We've had some fun. It's good to get that way. To creator, has the author ever met the fake queen? I'm going to guess not. I'm going to guess not. I really am. Because, dang, yeah. Have they ever met a red cat for that matter? Oh, nasty little blooders. What's the most crazy thing a demon said to you? It depends on how you say crazy, because like demons are not these terrifying hell beasts that mythology paints them out to be. And if you're approaching wanting to work with infernal spirits or demons because that's what you're looking for, you're going to be sorely disappointed, or they'll put on an act to placate you. So it depends on how you mean crazy, because by and large, I mean, the things that startle me wouldn't be the things like what most people might consider crazy or terrifying. Just they just hit a dead note on me. Probably because I'm Gen X and I grew up desensitized to basically everything, and I was born without a give a fuck. I have no give a fuck. Just like I have no filter between my brain and mouth. Y'all have no idea how hard it is for me to behave on YouTube. It is hard. Those who have been in non-YouTube video or live chats with me, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, creator, I addressed that earlier. I said I would get to work on that, and if you wanted, I'd go ahead and do it before the November 1st. It would still count as your November 1st spell working, but I'd go ahead and do it to get the ball rolling for you early, since it's for business. And I also asked to confirm what tier you are subscribed to, because it's tier 2 and above for the spell working. But yeah, I got no problem with that. I mean, I can go in the background, the back office, and look at it. Just don't show me at the moment. Let's see. Could a co-magician contact you before a guardian? Because I had my co-mag contact me first and have a guardian. No. Okay. So a co-magician, a dragon that may one day be your co-magician, could potentially contact you, but it will not be a co-magician. There's actually a process. It's not like, oh, look, I'm just your co-magician. It's not that. There is actually a process. There is a ritual. There is a actual official process there that assigns them to that position. So could they show up? Yes, but they would not be the co-magician. They would just be a dragon that showed up. If at some point when you went through that process of the co-magician, if it turned out to be the same dragon, that's a potential possibility. It's rare, but it's a potential possibility. And no dragon can take that co-magician position for any shape, form, fashion, or reason until there's a guardian dragon. And I would advise you to never assume a dragon will be your co-magician. Even if they want to be your co-magician, they may not be the one that ends up your co-magician because of how the actual process works. Because your wants and their wants don't really matter so much as what is the correct co-magician for you. Because I can tell you point blank, me and my co-magician for like the first year, we fought like cats and dogs. He was the correct co-magician for me. He was not the co-magician I wanted. He was not the co-magician I expected, but he was the co-magician I genuinely, truly needed. And that's just how it is. Dragons really don't give a shit about our feelings on that matter. When it comes to doing the job and doing what's right, it's not a voting process. And I'm highly grateful it isn't too, because honestly, without him, I would not be the mage I am today. Um, he's even made the comment that he's learned a lot about himself because of me. So I think it works a little bit both ways, and I'm glad that's the case. But then again, he could just been being nice to me for a change, and I will hands down say, even that early conflict actually taught me a great deal about myself and the balance and magic in and of itself. It was something that was sorely needed. Where Raven, I had someone tell me that real demons don't help people. It was kind of funny. Yeah, that would be actually kind of funny, because honestly, if you look at it, what we call demons. Okay, first off, you has anyone ever noticed I don't use the word demon? I use entity or I use spirit. There's a reason for that. Angels and demons, in their traditional sense, are the same entity category. The reason the demon category got bigger is honestly because any religious entity belonging to another culture that another culture didn't like, they put it into the demon category. They demonized it, hence the name demon. And of course, you also had spirits that were referred to as daemons, also not demons. Not demons. They're not evil spirits. Daemons, just it sounds like it, but they were just a spirit. Powerful elemental spirits oftentimes, but they were daemons. Um, and most of what people call demons now are just a collection of spirits that from one group or another was demonized at some point and put on that list. Most people want to blame Christianity. Truth be told, every religion across the globe that I have ever studied and encountered has made the habit, historically, even before Christianity existed, of trying to scrub out the other conquered people's beliefs. This even happened in days when people were tribal. We have this weird concept, especially in paganism, where until Christianity popped up, all religions lived in peace and kumbaya. That's horse shit. You put people places they're going to fight. People are just crap like that. And honestly, I would say the body count is higher against Christians than for them. So, but unfortunately, written records and everything that we have, and publicists definitely paints Christians as the worst of them. And that's not to defend anyone who does anything bad. I'm just, we got to look at the totality of that word. In fact, many of the goetic spirits, you notice I call them goetic spirits, about the only time you'll see demon is in the thumbnail because the algorithm likes it. Many of those were actually deities from other cultures, straight up. Dragon of the West. How can one work with entities from distance? What do you mean? You contact the entity. Make sure you understand the entity. Do your research and reach out and contact them. I work with entities across the spectrums. That's one reason I love dragon magic. And I've honestly not really encountered. I mean, there's certain entities I won't work with at the exact same time in the exact same ritual because I know they got there's a tension there. But at the same time, I have had times where I've had to work specifically with entities that had a tension or beef, if you want to call it that. But even though the tension was in the ritual, they were still willing to help me. This concept that you can't work across, like if you work with the Greek, you can't work with the Norse. That's horseshit. I have never run into any issues there. The only entities that I don't work with specifically is my choice. It's not the entity's choice. It's my choice, straight up. And that's the Egyptian pantheon. I only work with them if I absolutely positively have to or a client. And most of the time, I even advise the client to consider finding a magician who has a better repertoire with the Egyptians because, well, I don't get along with most of them. Now, certain ones like Thoth, I get along with Thoth. I got no issues with him, so I'll contact him. Ra, yeah, me and Ra don't get along. Okay, yeah. I'll get that done for you this week, Nick. So yeah, I'll get that spell working done. I'll go ahead and do your November spell working early for that, since it's dealing with business and everything. Because I get time can be of the essence, so I'll do that. Is it possible to work with dragons / get through Dragon Magic 101 course without having to make your astral sanctum right away or at all, since astral traveling is hard for most people, I think? Technically speaking, no. There's actually required exercises in there for astral travel. Though, however, I would also say astral traveling is not hard for most people. It's made hard by the way a lot of books and different people approach it, or the individuals seeking over perfection. They hit perfection paralysis, and many people actually set a bar of astral travel that they're just not going to achieve. They're trying to get perfection before they ever attempt to make a sanctum with their arcane senses, and that perfection paralysis that they're putting the brakes on themselves. But I would actually say no, because if you're actually going to do the course and you're going to complete the course, there are several exercises in there that will require that journey work concept in there. Most of them are very, very, very low bar journey work, but you're going to need to do them. But how to do them, the exercises to improve, all that is in there. Like every student who signed up for that, and there's been well over 400 students sign up for that course, has been able to get through that section. And the ones that struggled with it, it was that perfection paralysis. And once we discussed it and talked about it, and they were able to cut on through. Now, there is one student I can think of that would not listen, that will not proceed. They absolutely, fully, 100% refuse to proceed until, and this is their words, not mine, until they can visualize their sanctum as real as the physical realm. I'm not moving forward because I'm not ready. That is a limitation. That is something they placed on themselves. That has nothing to do with the course. That has nothing to do with astral travel. That is entirely their choice. And to this day, they're still there. And one could argue that they're afraid to move forward. One could argue that that's just who they are. But at the same time, and I know a lot of students that's discussed this with this person, moving forward would actually develop the senses quicker than just standing there and doing the same thing over and over until you hit perfection. Because that you have to challenge yourself to continue to improve. You can't do the same thing over and over and over and expect to get better. You're going to hit a plateau with that process. And if you don't move forward and further challenge yourself, you'll never break that plateau. Okay. So have I been offending them by calling the dragon my co-mage because I have been animated? No, it won't be offensive. It won't be offensive. I would say they've probably attempted to correct you from time to time, but your arcane senses might have been slightly limiting on that, and that's not unusual. It's actually pretty normal, really. Oddly, the dragons have that happen quite often. Some of them's pondered why and they've asked me, and I'm like, you expect me to understand all humans just because I'm a human? Nope. I don't understand this either. I gave them my best theory, which is due to, like, if you go online, there's a lot of people who treat a guardian and co-magician almost like a guardian angel. That it's like, you're born with this guardian or you're born with this co-magician always watching over you. And that's not true. But due to the way that those have been interpreted, and just, you know how the internet is, you spark one spark and it turns into a forest fire. I think that's kind of where that's coming from. And then there's just the fact that most people understand those concepts. So the information's just not out there to clarify it. The dragons understand it; they're not offended by it, so it's no big deal. So no, no, just when you do get to your guardian dragon and you get ready to move on into the process and find your co-magician, don't be surprised if it's a completely different dragon. Now, the cool thing is, don't be surprised if that same dragon still hangs around. There's plenty of dragons that hang around my house that are not my co or my guardian, but I've met them, I've talked to them, we're friends. That's the best way to put it. That is the best way to put it. Let's see. Could I evoke or invoke my guardian dragon? Invoke is pretty much a hard no. And evoking dragons do not evoke the same way other entities do. And I don't got time to go into that. But you could through, like, if you do contact evocation. Full evocation is the one where you run into the problem. You cannot full evocate a dragon for several reasons. But yeah, that would be the one. And invocation, nope. Dragons don't invoke. They will not inhabit a human body. Vitki, oh true, my Comag gets very judgy. Yeah, those Comags, they have no, they give no shits. They're just going to tell you how it is. They can be brutal. Is that clocks? That is clocks. That's a new clock you're throwing at me, Jade. What is your challenge with Ra? Honestly and truly, he requires worship, and anytime I work with an entity, I tell them flat out, I won't worship, I won't bow, I won't kneel. I will approach you as an equal or not at all. And he didn't like that, and I may have told him where he could shove his head and jump off a cliff. And him and I just really outside, yeah, I don't deal with him. I don't want to. I'm not going to worship him. And until he accepts that, bye. Bye, Felicia. Seriously. Don't care. That's the edited down, very nutshelled version of it. If I have had to reach out to him for a client, it has always been, I am here for this individual. And it's strictly business, and he knows I'm not going to bend a knee. And that's only if I absolutely must, because if I can, I'm going to find a magician who's on better terms with him, just because I really don't want to deal with the fucker. Pardon my language. But that's also why I don't work with a lot of the Egyptians. The Egyptian entities, by and large, are really big on that worship. And y'all know I don't do worship. I'm pretty much against worship. It's not something I will ever do. I'm not going to bend a knee, bow, or worship any entity. That's a rule I've made for myself. Everyone's going to make their own choice. I don't look down on anyone who does. I got no issue with people who do. I think there's a lot in it for a lot of people. For me, at this point in my life and time, it's not something I will do, if that makes sense. But if you do have a goddess or a god or an entity that you worship, that's cool with me. In fact, I encourage it. I know it sounds weird that I won't do it, but I have no issue with the people who do. That seems weird, but honestly, think about what I said earlier. I understand my path, my life, what drives me, and the life I've lived that brought me to where I am is not for everybody. And I truly believe self-mastery, self-empowerment comes into walking your life and your path. If worship is part of your life, I will support you all the way, as long as you're not hurting someone else in the process. But I will also kindly ask that you don't meddle in my affairs and think I have to do that. It kind of works both ways on that. That's just kind of my 2 cents on it. I think that's one of the reasons me and the dragons hit it off so early, is because they despise worship. They hate being worshipped. They do not like it. And though it's not a thing that ever comes up anymore, early on in my path, because I had been burned by religion so many times, I think that was something I really needed. I think that really kind of helped drive me toward the dragons more. In fact, Odin even made a concept one time. He's like, "Did you ever think all your problems in worship was meant to be so that you would end up on the path?" And it's one of those little riddling things that Odin likes to do, and it makes you think. Could be, maybe. I don't know. I don't care actually, because I am where I am. I'm happy where I am, and I don't regret anything behind me. Everything behind me helped to bring me where I am, and the good and the bad, I embrace it because of it. Um, so yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll bow as a form of respect, but not worship. That's a different thing. That is a different thing entirely. All right, everyone, we are going to get ready and head out of here. Thank you so very much. This has been a lot of fun. We had a lot of great questions. We got a lot deeper into those philosophical areas, which I don't mind. Like I said, I love those philosophical things. It's one of the things I love to do when me and the friends get together, is to discuss and talk about those things. I will say, in the manner of these philosophical discussions, I want to thank the community, because you guys did not make it political. You did not make it religious. And we don't do the politics, and we don't do the religious bashing and all that stuff here. And I just want to thank you all, because I did not see any of that in the chat. If I overlooked it, well, I overlooked it. So, but I didn't see it, and I do appreciate it. That speaks very highly of the community, I feel. It is great to know that the Working Dragon Mystic community can have an open conversation about these things, a thoughtful conversation, a mindful conversation. We can challenge ourselves. We can challenge our thoughts. We can meditate on them and still be a peaceful, functioning community working to help each other regardless. So whether you're pagan, whether you're Christian, whether you're whatever the heck I am these days, that's awesome. Remember to help each other. Remember to share and do the best you can, and be the best you can be. Keep walking toward that self-mastery, that self-empowerment. Try to be a better you tomorrow than you were today. And believe me, in 1 year's time, you will see an amazing difference. I'm living redneck proof of that. All right, everyone, take care. Have a fantastic week. And wait, Thanksgiving's Thursday, ain't it? Okay, so since I won't see you before Thanksgiving, have an amazing turkey day. And if you're someplace that don't celebrate Thanksgiving, you know what? I'll still raise a toast to you anyways. Feel free to grab some good old comfort food and chow down, because you're part of the Working Dragon Mystic community. So as far as I'm concerned, be thankful for whatever you want to be thankful for. All right. All right, everybody. Take care and good night.